Should Chief Justice Renato Corona stay on as the leader of the Supreme Court? This is a question that the prosecution and defense panels will answer today in the closing arguments. Welcome to the coverage of Rappler.com. This is day 43 of the Corona trial, and here to give us a preview of the prosecution's closing arguments is spokesperson Congressman Nero Quimbo. Good afternoon. Welcome to Rappler.
Thank you. What a privilege.
Okay, so sir, could you give us just a preview, an outlook? What can the public expect from the prosecution after 42 days of trial today?
Well, we expect to present a case to the Senate and to the Filipino people that insofar as the continuance of our governance and our democracy is concerned, we need a Chief Justice who is trustworthy and somebody who can lead an independent judiciary. That essentially is the bone of our contention. It's going to be supported by all the evidence that we have thus far presented on his dollar accounts, his bank accounts, as well as the properties that he did not declare, as well as the actuations and actions that he has done over the last 9 years that he has been in the Supreme Court.
So we expect Congressman Tupas, Fariñas, and recently announced Speaker Feliciano Belmonte to argue the case for the prosecution. So you have decided to focus on moral fitness, the moral fitness of the Chief Justice. Why is this your theme for the closing arguments? Why is this so important for the prosecution?
Well, I think it's very important because we don't want to get lost in the nitty-gritty of the small battles that we've had on whether an evidence is admissible or not, whether what amount of bank accounts is actually allowable that you did not declare in your SAL, and we're getting lost in the trivialities of it. But in the end, the primordial question is he morally fit to continue as Chief Justice? I think that's the most important question. Is he good for our country? Putting him back in the Supreme Court is at best for our democracy. That's essentially what we want to be able to show and present.
Let's go over some of the main arguments of the defense because we expect you to rebut that in the closing argument. So first is the announcement or the statement of the Chief Justice in his testimony defending the non-inclusion of the dollar accounts. What do you make of his legal interpretation of the Foreign Currency Act?
I don't want to preempt our close...
lawmakers.
But that interpretation already merits an impeachment because it's absolutely devoid of any legal basis, of any legal logic. It's so far-fetched. It's just so out there in outer space as far as we're concerned, because the Foreign Currency Deposit Act only protects banks from being examined. It does not in any way protect or prevent an individual from declaring it as an asset. It is so clear. The SALN is a transparency measure that determines whether you are enriching yourself in office or not. It's a scorecard. And if you cannot, and if you're allowed not to declare your dollars, then it leaves open a gaping hole for corrupt officials to just keep saving dollars because anyway, they don't need to report. That's ridiculous. And I think it ultimately sets aside the entire provision of Article 11 of the Constitution on transparency and accountability. If we have a Chief Justice who has that interpretation, I think we're a nation in trouble. I mean, that's the statement that we want to make.
Let's go into the voting of the Senate, which may happen today or likely tomorrow. Just the scenario that some lawyers raised, that senators can vote to abstain. So how do you think that changes the entire picture?
A vote of abstention is a vote of acquittal. The 16 conviction votes is immovable. It is based on a constitutional provision that determines the actual number of senators we have. So even if there are only 16 who actually show up, those 16 have to vote for us. It's not just 2/3 of those who are present. Even if somebody gets sick, that vote will still be counted as a vote of acquittal because we need a solid 16 votes for conviction. That's why it's a very difficult number to reach.
So abstaining would in effect be a vote to acquit?
Absolutely. I think if anybody or any of the senators are thinking it's a middle ground, it's not a middle ground. It is a vote to let the Chief Justice stay in office.
Without preempting the vote of the senators, what for you are the scenarios in case he is convicted or acquitted? What to you does it mean for our institutions, for our leadership, for the different branches of government?
I think first and foremost, regardless of whether it is a conviction or an acquittal, but whatever happens is the fact that we've been able to finish this and give all the parties their due process rights, present their evidence, shows that we have a democracy that's working. That while there are scathing remarks and in fact it's a painful process, but the process is within the ambit of the Constitution, within our laws, which I think is very important because it shows that our democracy is working and that you don't have to violate the Constitution to find our public officers accountable, meaning people power is not the only way. There are actually remedies available to the public. Now, whether it's an acquittal or a conviction, we can only hope that whatever decision is rendered by the Senate, that it is accepted by all the parties as a final one. Because I think if we continue to litigate this matter, bring it up to the Supreme Court, I think that's going to really be courting a constitutional crisis and it's going to be violative of the very precepts of the separation of powers of the Constitution.
Moving forward after this impeachment, what are the reforms that lawmakers like yourself are eyeing? Because they say it shouldn't stop with this impeachment. Like, what are the things we've learned? Are there aspects of the laws that we must change? Long-term reforms?
I think very important is we need to be able to impart or impress on all public officers and employees that the salary is very important and that we try to. I don't think it's ambiguous, meaning we all declare, if we have dollars, we declare it there in pesos. I don't think there's any ambiguity there, but I think we need to go out and spread the very definitions of each matter and how important they are so that we can leave any ambiguity behind. And to also enact, if at all possible, that there should be an automatic review of these salaries. Meaning there should be a mechanism through which we can process and evaluate and see in fact if something's happening with a person, meaning is he enriching himself or not. I think those are the things that need to be done. Let's not wait for it to balloon to such an amount. We should be able to trace it as soon as suspicions of corruption actually take place.
So you mentioned it's a painful process, but it's finally ending. So the prosecution, what kind of experience has this been for you? Like, what are the lessons you've learned? There are times that you were scolded for some bloopers, for some errors. Like, coming out of this, what are the things that you learned? Yes, strongly enough.
Actually, it wasn't a scolding; it was a scalding. I mean, it was worse, no. But yeah, I think the learning experience here is that. No amount of preparation is always enough. There are always things that are so uncertain. And that we've realized that as the initiatory party, meaning we're the first party, the prosecution, there's always difficulty there because we're breaking ground. And generally we take on the brunt of the mistakes and the criticisms. But having said that, I think what we have learned is that we realize that the public is deeply concerned about accountability. We've always known that, but we've realized that the public holds on to their public officers as being transparent and ensuring that the trust that is given is actually not betrayed. I think it's a learning process for us, and to sharpen our courtroom skills, something that. We don't do anymore because that is prohibited in the Constitution. I mean, those are the things that we've learned.
Okay, so now, what is your mood? As you have been frequently asked, what is your mood for the prosecution?
Amused. That's in the mood
Confident.
meter, right? I mean, that's in the mood meter, right? Well, we are happy in a sense it's about to conclude. More than anything else, none of us expected it to be this long.
Right.
But the fact that it is about to terminate and come to a conclusion, we are happy that it is about to end.
And it is ending indeed. Thank you so much, Congressman Kimbo. And we will find out the verdict maybe later or tomorrow. Stay tuned. That will be something that everyone has been waiting for 42 days now. Stay tuned. The trial begins at 2 p.m.